What is good, everybody, man? Welcome into the Bluebloods official podcast of FCS Football Central on SI. It has been a long time. Coach, we were talking before the show, man. Listen, Coach has been slammed recently, man. So listen, that's one of the things with having an actual associate head coach on the show is sometimes we just aren't able to do the show. And to be fair, I should have been doing more solo lives, but your boy has been just slammed with the website, getting FCS games covered, all that stuff. So we've been busy, but we're back a 2 week break. But we were talking, how in the world do we have an FCS show and we're going to miss the week where we have number one versus number two in arguably the biggest HBCU game of the year thus far with FAMU at Jackson? So me and Coach made it work. We're back. We'll be more apparent on YouTube. But if you've been following the website, been following the podcast, me and Timothy have been holding it down. But as always, joined by my guy, Coach Fred. Coach, man, how we feeling?
Timothy, man, a little under the weather. Uh, Not a whole lot of sleep going on around here. But it's the price you pay when you are playing meaningful games back to back to back to back. They're all meaningful, but we've worked ourselves into really, really meaningful games. So it's kind of where it's at right now, man.
You know what the best cure for that cold is, Coach? 4-0 in
With
conference play and that good seafood after a win in Baton Rouge.
Ain't no
That's the
doubt,
cure.
ain't no doubt. In a winter shot of whiskey on the way. Uh, yeah.
I feel you, man. Listen, I'll say this. I'm so pissed that Southern and Alcorn's on the same weekend as Jackson Fam because those are two games that I had on my schedule I wanted to go to. So I was bad luck last time I came and met you guys in Baton Rouge. So I'm headed to Jackson to be bad luck for one of those teams. And y'all just get to win. I don't know, Coach. I don't know if you listen to the podcast. I want to update this. I don't have your Super Dog standings because we've only done a handful of picks this year. So I
I've
don't
been
have
good
you on
though.
this. Yeah, you've been good. But Timothy took the lead from me last week because of y'all, Coach.
Oh yeah.
He picked Alcorn plus 13 and a half and passed me in the points last week.
Blue, I'm disappointed in you.
Outrageous. Well, no,
13 and a half.
yeah, 13 and a half was the spread, Coach. Let me
Wow.
let me tell you this. The reason I didn't pick y'all is you remember because we did the preview. I picked y'all against McNeese at 13.
Right, 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 right,
And
right, right.
and you can ask Timothy. I said I'm not picking Alcorn on the show for Superdog ever again. I don't care if I know they're
That's
gonna
good.
win. I'm not jinxing Coach.
I
Timothy
appreciate
risked
it.
it. Yeah, Timothy risked it all for you guys, Coach. But right now, Timothy's got 4 outright wins. I got 5, so we're killing it, Superdog. I think you hit on like all 3 of yours the first 3 weeks. So if you need upset picks, and we'll get yours later in the show, but and real quick, Jay, I knew someone was going to say something. We don't recognize the coaches poll over here. So the rankings you see on the side are correct. We only use the media poll. We don't trust the coaches poll. That has never happened here. So yes, in terms of coaches poll, Jackson FAMU's top 25 matchup. In terms of the media poll, FAM's 25th. Jackson, I think, is honorable mention. So that's what we're using there just to give some clarity. But Coach, two massive, massive games this weekend. But I want to start here real quick, Coach. You just mentioned Baton Rouge, Southern. Coach, number one in the standings right now. And we've been gone for 2 weeks because you were taking some heat in the chat last time we were here, and all Alcorn's done is win. Talk a little bit about how you're feeling about the team right now, man. Because the Alcorn we saw last weekend is not the Alcorn we saw 3-4 weeks ago.
We've been saying it from the beginning. We started out rough, but if you go look at our schedule, we started out with a rough schedule. That same Vanderbilt team that everybody was laughing at that beat us came and beat the holy Bama. When we were saying that was a good Vandy team, that wasn't the same Vandy team as old. We were being truthful about that, not just saying it because we got beat by them. And if you take off a pick six from a ball that should have been handed off and a punt that should have been punted to the other side of the field off the board, we look pretty good versus them. The team, man, they've taken on the head down, let's work, and that's all they've done. Approach, and we're feeling pretty good about where we are right now.
And hey, you had a chance to go 4-0 in SWAC play this weekend, and I think where you guys sit with how UAPB's look this year, getting that big win over PV, with Grambling probably going to get some wins down the stretch here. You guys have a chance to take like a massive lead in that division and have a chance to maybe close it out earlier than a lot of people expected with a win this weekend, man. So I'm impressed. And I got to give a shout out to one guy, coach, and you're going to laugh when I say this. I called him out the last time we were on the show. Malachi Bailey must listen because he's on a rampage right now.
Him and Steve, because I remember you went with Steve in one of your fantasy deals, and
Yeah.
yeah, and all those kids have done is lead us, practice like it's a game. That's the mentality, and they've been doing that, and knock knock, we can continue to keep that pace, that intensity. It's going to be a tough place to go play Saturday. Their homecoming. Um, Still a little upset that it's a 6 o'clock game, but it is what it is. Got to go play it, and we'll see by 9 o'clock where we are.
I'm going to be tuned in, man. I'll be in Jackson this weekend, and I believe that game should be over by the time y'all kind of kick off, maybe like right after y'all kick off. So I'll be back at the hotel checking out that game because listen, I'm bringing my iPad, everything, coach. I'm going to have y'all on the iPad, North Dakota State, South Dakota State on the big screen in the hotel room, and then, probably another game late that night on the laptop. But coach, let's start here, man. We got our FCS game of the week, HBCU game of the week, both two of the biggest matchups of the year. We'll start here. Number one, South Dakota State traveling to the Fargo Dome in Fargo, North Dakota, to take on North Dakota State, the marker game. Coach, just some stakes here. It's a pick 'em right now, if I'm not mistaken. I think maybe North Dakota State might be a 0.5 favorite, but it's a pretty much a pick 'em game. And coach, I don't know if you know this. South Dakota State has a chance to extend the longest winning streak in this rivalry's history. They've won 5 in a row right now. Have a chance to extend it to 6. And I've said this on every show I've been on, talked with Timothy. The audio episode's out, so y'all know my pick if y'all listen to that. There's a little desperation in Fargo right now, coach, because they're kind of looking at this game like we have Cam Miller. We're playing high level. This is probably the best North Dakota State team we've had in the past 5 matchups. If we don't win this year, when do we get them? Because we're starting to lose recruiting battles. They have a bunch of young talent that's stepping up. If we don't get them now, then when will we get them? Just your initial thoughts on this game, man, and where you stand with South Dakota State and North Dakota State, the two best teams in the country.
You know how I feel about the champ. They're the champ until they're beaten, and they have an opportunity to go in a place like you said, extend a winning streak, and then they also have a chance to plant one more seed of doubt uh, in the heads of NDSU. And this is going to be big, not just for this regular season, but this is going to be big for playoff purposes as well. Because to me, if they go in there and they handle business in a uh, commanding way, now how does NDSU view where they land when it's time for playoff bracket play? Are they looking like, oh man, we're on the same side? Or are they looking like, okay, we get a chance to get to the championship game if we handle our business to face these guys again? So this is huge for not just standing, but mentally. This is a huge matchup.
Yeah, I think when I look at this matchup, just watching as much game tape as I have on these two teams, the matchup to me there's two, but just the positional matchup is North Dakota State's front 7 against the rushing attack of South Dakota State. Like that's where it all starts for me. Now, I think, coach, both of these teams are good enough that the offenses are going to find success. Like you can only keep a good offense down for so long. It's just limiting those explosive plays. North Dakota State's ran the football really well, but coach, they're averaging less than 5 yards per carry, which is one of their lowest marks in I think almost 10 years right now.
Yep.
When you look at South Dakota State, coach, as a team for the whole season, they're averaging 7.3 yards per carry, which is just an insane mark. And and we both kind of called it because Amar Johnson was overlooked behind Isaiah Davis. That kid is special right now. And also Chase Mason, the backup quarterback, has been doing a really good job in just being a weapon for them. When y'all look at North Dakota State, they struggled to stop the run against ETSU. They struggled to stop the run against Townsend, but they've been having their best performances lately. The thing that worries me, though, coach, is they're missing their probably best defensive lineman in Dylan Hendricks this weekend. They're missing a starting linebacker out of the front 7 that was already kind of a little iffy coming into the year. The question becomes, if can you limit explosive plays? Because if the Jacks are averaging 6, 7, 8 yards per carry this weekend, with Gronowski working off the play action, pushing the football down the field, it's going to be a long weekend when you already have an inexperienced secondary missing your All-American safety in Cole Wisniewski.
Yeah, that could make for a long, long ball game. And, this is why the quarterback for the number one team came back. This is the reason, this is the fun that he talked about being in college football. So this is going to be a chance for G to show up and do it to his rivals one more time in a big way. And, I don't know if the young guys on the other side of the ball defensively, even though it's a home game, I don't know if they're ready for that atmosphere, because that's going to be a huge, huge, huge atmosphere. And, you go down a score, you go down 2 scores, how rattled are you guys going to be? How rattled is the team going to get at that point? So, the young guys missing a couple, veterans with some playing time experience. It's going to be huge. It's going to be an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah, and then on the other side too, Coach, North Dakota State, the thing that's really helped their offense, I understand everyone talks about Cam Miller, and let's just be honest, Coach, he's playing at a Peyton level, which is fine. But the offensive line's been really good protecting him and not really forcing not allowing the defense to generate any negative plays. The other thing I'm looking for is when you look at South Dakota State, Coach, they're forcing a negative play defensively 11% of their defensive snaps. So a tackle for loss or a sack on 11% of their plays
gets you off track.
That's the key, right? Because also too, because I know you've been busy doing your thing. Just to kind of catch you up here, Miller suffered an ankle injury 2 weeks ago and was limited last week. Wasn't able to really move as well. And with ankle injuries, Coach, whatever the diagnosis is, you never know, because an ankle injury, you could step on it wrong. It could be colder than expected on the morning of the game, and it's swollen, and you don't feel good. So that's the other question: is what percentage is Cam Miller at? Because in my opinion, if he's not at 100 or close to 90%, that's a massive, massive setback for North Dakota State, because I think they're going to need Cam Miller to play his best football, especially with a rushing attack, a rushing defense like South Dakota State against a rushing attack led by a redshirt freshman in Shamar Brown. So I'm going to be very, very curious to see how the offensive line plays, along with how healthy Cam Miller is. And as we try to get Coach back here, just looking at the game as a whole, guys, I do think another interesting matchup for me is going to be the secondary of NDSU against a pretty inexperienced, I would say, wide receiving core for South Dakota State. Griffin Wilde is electric at the outside wide receiver, but outside of that, Graham Goring is okay, but they really don't have any guys that are just going to take the top off outside of Wilde. So, Coach, I'll be curious to see that. But just your opinion, how is Cam Miller really the key here, and how healthy he is? And just, you've been around the game, you've been around injuries in your room and everything. How delicate do you have to treat a quarterback who's mobile with an ankle injury?
It's that's as tricky as it gets, because breaks out, has a good run, gets tackled at the end of the run, can get that thing landed on, twisted. So you've got to be very careful with how you use him. He's got to be even smarter with what he does within the pocket, knowing when the run is over. A grab bag of things when you're talking about an ankle. Again, like you said earlier, you don't know how serious it is. You don't know if it's high, if it's a low, middle of the foot type thing. So that's your main thing as a weapon. Your legs, and your ankle is really, really a tender situation. So it'll be interesting to see if he can navigate and how much he actually has to use it to get out of trouble, and can they protect him to the point to where, okay, he has an opportunity to either slide, get out of bounds, or not get touched. And what's the chances in this game for him to stand back there and not get touched? Probably slim to none. So you just hope, and you hold your breath every time he gets tackled or touched, that he doesn't get up wincing or a little shaky on that thing. So that's going to be one of those things that you got to watch. and you got to watch them during warm up because you don't want to overdo it, but you want to make sure you get that thing getting loose and ready to go for the game.
And then, the last thing, injuries in the secondary for South Dakota State, missing possibly Tucker Large is probable, questionable, whatever you want to call it, missing their other guy, Kel Reeder, back there for the year. So it'll be interesting to see if Miller and listen, his connection with Bryce Lance has been amazing. And that's one thing I do want to give North Dakota State credit for, Coach. We talked about their wide receiving core having nobody. After Eli transferred this offseason, Zach Mathis graduated. Bryce Lance has just emerged as that guy. 35 for 430, 5 touchdowns, has really kind of stabilized that position, been a go-to target. So it will be very, very curious to see how they attack that secondary, who's really good at corner. Dallas Beanham is an All-American level corner, but at safety, they got some new faces back there. But Coach, pick 'em game. What's your thoughts on this one, man? Who you going with?
You know how I feel about it. Number one is number one. And even though they're going on the road, I expect them to go on the road and put on an impressive show. Again, G talked about the reasons he came back. So this is going to be I think, one of those victories that kind of puts even more doubt in NDSU's mind because I know he's going to be pedal to the metal and they're going to be out to make a statement. So I got to take the number one team, not take them in a semi-big way.
All right, I'm with you, Coach. Now, I just want to let you know, Timothy and a lot of the other FCS media has went with North Dakota State. It seems to be like an unpopular pick to go to the Jacks here. I think it's a lot of I keep hearing a lot of desperation, and like I said earlier, if not now, then when. So they just think North Dakota State's going to come out and play this like a national championship game. It's a win or go home for them, which might be fair. And that was kind of the criticism for the Jacks a handful of years ago, Coach, where they catch North Dakota State mid-year, but then the Bison hold up the trophy at the end of the year. So it's role reversal here, but I'm with you, man. I have a feeling, man. I think South Dakota State's playing their best football right now. And I think they've haven't really been tested much this year, Coach. In that Incarnate Word game, they showed that they can get to that next level, right? And they've just slowly been building there. Offensive line's been gelling, Mark's finding his rhythm, run game's clicking. I think South Dakota State makes enough plays to win this game. I think it's somewhere like 27-23, somewhere in that range, Coach. 3 to 7 points, somewhere in there. I think it's a one-score game. But give me the Jacks to win on the road, man. Massive win for them, by the way, too. I'll be interested to see how far, Coach, because if it's that close of a game, how far does North Dakota State fall in the polls? 4?
Yeah.
Maybe
depending on
5
what 2
at
or 3.
most?
Well, they got to fall. They've
Yeah.
got to fall. 2 and 3 loses. 2 and 3 win. Well, 3 and 4 win. So
Yeah.
they got to fall, but I think it's going to be a 2-score game.
Oh,
I know you
okay.
said 1. I think at least a 2-score game.
I like it, man. Hey, ESPN2 prime time, Coach, huge for the FCS. And then another FCS game, ESPNU national television and on week 8, number 25 FAMU on the road at Jackson in the vet, Coach. I think it's pretty safe to say, Coach, whoever wins this game's going to the SWAC championship game. Probably the favorite to get out of the SWAC as well. I know a lot of people have touted both of these teams to win it all this year. Coach, just your initial thoughts here, man. I know you've watched a little bit of film probably on both of these teams, but just your initial thoughts on this massive, massive SWAC matchup.
Well, the school up the street has got to figure out their quarterback situation. And then they've got to figure out what they want to do with the quarterback situation. I think this is one of those games where you've got to start with who you're starting with, whoever it is, and you've got to settle in and you've got to be under control. At home, should be the favorite, even though, the champ, my rule on the champ's in town. But if you want to beat the champ, you've got to be solid. And I think they have a solid defense. I think, their question mark after watching them is kind of where they're going to be with the trigger puller. Who is it going to be? How long a leash will he have? Will he be looking over his shoulder? Can he hold it in the middle of the road and just play field position and let the defense work? So that's going to be interesting to see the school up the streets approach. FAM, you're the champ. You're the ranked team. You're coming into hostile territory. Your quarterback situation is pretty much what it is. It'll be interesting to see how FAM comes out for this, comes out offensively. If they're going to come out in attack mode or if they're going to come out trying to feel their way through it, because the vet will be rocking. Ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So, FAM's tested, they're battle tested. So, this is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I will say I think Jackson settled. Coach, if I'm not mistaken, TC said in a press conference, I think last week, it's Jacobian all the way. I think they're done with the rotation, which is good. I mean, Jacobian's played really, really well. I think he had 4 touchdowns against Texas Southern, 3 last week or 2 weekends ago against Alabama A&M. So Morgan's been playing at a really, really high level. Coach, I'll be very curious to see when I think styles make fights, and anyone who listens to the audio already kind of knows my thoughts on this game, knows my pick, so they know where I'm going with this. I always think college football is all about matchups. And hang on, we lost coach here.
I don't
Got
know
you,
what
coach.
happened, but yeah,
Oh no, you're
I get
good.
what you're saying. I get what you're saying, and I know it's Jacobian all the way. But I also said
Good.
in that same statement, how long of a
Dang, did we lose coach again?
is it
You
me?
back? Yeah, you're back now. You're good.
What about now?
Yeah, we got you. We
How
can hear
about
you.
now?
We still hear you. You're
How about
good.
now?
No,
How about
here,
now?
drop. We got you now, man. We got you. Can you hear me?
How about
Drop in
now?
and drop back out. No, drop in and drop back out, and I'll carry this one until you hop back in.
How about now?
No, let's see if he can. I'll coach will be right back. But I think, like I was saying, I think styles make fights, and especially in college football. And I do get concerned, and I understand the FAMU side of the argument where they've given up a whole bunch of yards early in the game. Coach, we got you now.
How about now?
Yep, I got you. You good?
Yeah, but I also said that same statement. I get that, but I'm saying how long of a leash does he have? Does he know that it's his? Is he going to be looking over his shoulder, or is he going to go out there and play free? That's what I
I
mean
think
by that.
yeah, I think that's a fair question. I would imagine just if you're asking my opinion, coach, I think it's pretty long, but you never know in this age of college football. But coach, just my thoughts on this one was I think it's an interesting stylistic matchup, and I I know people. I thought I was going to be in the minority here, coach, with my pick and my thoughts on this game, and it turns out that I was completely wrong on how people were evaluating these two teams, and I don't want to pile on here, but college football is all about matchups, coach, and I just don't think this is a good stylistic matchup for FAM based on what I've seen on film
Ooh,
from them. And I thought I was going to be alone in that. I thought a lot of people were going to pick FAM to win this game. Coach, it's so bad that our guy Scotty picked Jackson in this game.
ooh,
So that's how far away we've gotten from FAM's the favorite defending champ is that our guy Scotty even is picking against FAM. But uh, I'll say this: the reason I think it's a bad matchup, coach, is because I do think FAM has the advantage of the adjustments because I don't think FAM started fast in any game this year, right? They were slow against Norfolk. They were slow against South Carolina State. I'm throwing out the 2 FBS games. I don't care what happened in those games, but they've been slow to start in some of their FCS games. On the
right.
flip side, Jackson started super fast in a lot of their games where they come out and they're firing, right? But the problem is after second half, I think FAM has made the better adjustments where FAM has played really well in the second half. And
Yeah, every game I've
that's
seen him.
they turn a page and give credit to the coaching staff. But the problem with Jackson is, coach, I think they come out firing, but then in the second half, they've had their worst performances in the second half. They didn't play great in the second half against Southern. They didn't play great in the second half against Grambling. They didn't play great in the second half against Alabama A&M. And in 2 of those games, they built a pretty big lead, right? And maybe they took their foot off the gas. But with FAM, they kept games close early and then kind of pulled away and played well in the second half. So I will be curious to see what the in-game adjustments are here. But I think stylistically, coach, FAM has not been good against the run. And I know they have done better in the second half. But if I'm Jackson, I am going to force feed you our running backs until you make us throw the football.
That's the key. How patient? will the play caller be? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Fam comes out and jumps up 10 points. Are we still patient? Uh, and that's the key to me. And again, how I feel about the champ, which is why I'm going with it. I'm sticking to what I believe in that situation. Uh, you're the champ until you're beaten. And I think right now that they walk in there with that mindset that they are those guys and that they go in there and they win. Uh,
Yeah. That's
I
fair.
don't think it's a blowout by any means. And I think this is definitely
No.
a one-score game. And I think it comes down to something late. And right now, when it comes down to second half, late game heroics, it's been fam. Nothing else.
No.
It's been fam. So, for me, that's what it is. Can fam keep it close to do what they do late in ball games?
Coach, this was the most insane stat, and I think listen, we didn't have a show. We don't have shows till Thursday, so our guy Zoe beat us to this. Coach, did you know FAM is the only team in the nation without a rushing touchdown this year?
That's crazy.
It's week 8.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, that's I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Only team in the
0.
nation. Wow.
Yeah, 0 rushing touchdowns. Now, I have my opinion on this, Coach. I know I know why they do it, but the little jet sweeps, pop passes,
Yeah.
bro, the fact that those count as passing yards is insane. That's
Yeah.
just a jet sweep.
I can't
That's just
remember
a
when that
jet
happened,
sweep.
but it happened. Yeah, when they made that, I think it was way back when West Virginia ran 700
Yep.
plays in that one bowl game versus Clemson when they figured out that
Oh,
rule.
Lord.
Uh,
Yeah,
so
it was
yeah,
with, was that the year they had Pat White and all them?
Tavon Austin.
Tavon, yeah, I'm about to say I couldn't remember because they had a string there where who was the running back up there that I think he was before Tavon. Was it Slayton? Like
Steve
number
Slayton, that's
10?
who was with Pat. Steve Slayton,
Yeah.
Noel Devine.
Yeah. Man, God, those dudes were just different. I'm a big Pat
Uh,
White fan here. Listen, I'm from Mobile, so you know
that's
how
my
it is.
guy. We have to
Yeah,
get Pat
big
on the
Pat.
show. I'm gonna have to get Pat on the show. That's my guy.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, so coach, I'll be interested to see because with FAM, they're averaging what 93 yards per game, and I get it. So a lot of people have been looking at like the total yardage, but coach 3.2 yards per carry is not going to get it done in this game. I think they're going to have to be more balanced than we've seen, and that's what worries me because I do think Coach Daniel Richardson can get you 21 this weekend. I think he's good
Yeah,
enough to go make you some plays, but to get the win, you're going to have to take some pressure off of Daniel because, coach, the one thing I will say about Jackson, what separates Jackson's defense to me this year from last year, coach, last year, I didn't trust anyone to go get the quarterback on Jackson because, like, even in the
that's fair.
Alcorn game, Aaron Allen was comfortable back there. Aaron Allen had all day to throw. That's why he was finding Monterio and was comfortable. They didn't have a guy, but now you look on that defensive line, coach, they're finding ways to get to the quarterback this year, and it's coming from guys who last year weren't making plays. And of course, Joshua Nobles stepping in at defensive end was huge. But coach, right now, 48 tackles for loss and 16 sacks this year for them. They're
That's
they're
fair.
getting they're getting a whole lot of negative plays, and so I am curious to see how does FAM handle that? If they can't establish the run, is Jackson able to pin their ears back and go make some plays? The one advantage I do give FAM, though, is I do think they match up really well in the secondary to Jackson's wide receivers. With Kendall Bowler and those guys, they have a lot of
Hmm.
experience at the safety spot. If
Hmm.
Jacobian does put the ball in harm's way, which historically he hasn't, I want to give him credit. But you got Deco Wilson. I mean, you got Bowler. That they got some playmakers in the back end of the defense, and that's the one spot I do think FAM has the advantage at. Because when you look at Jackson's wide receiving core, coach, this is no offense to anybody, but I'll be honest, like outside of Jonas Fortillion, Isaiah Spencer's had his moments, but outside of those two guys, I don't know if they have any like true playmakers that scare me on the outside of the running back room.
Consistency. Yes.
Yeah, because the tight end's been there, right? But this is a conversation in the SWAC outside of maybe you guys because y'all have truck, and that's a whole different thing. But the SWAC tight end usage has been so inconsistent. Like you see these guys like Grambling has an athletic tight end, Fam has an athletic tight end, Jackson has athletic tight ends, and they just disappear. They'll have one or two big games, maybe plays, and then we don't see nothing.
Yeah, that kid from Southern, they're
Oh
starting to
yeah.
utilize him more as well.
Yep.
Valley's gotten their kid back, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. So, it's one of those deals. But I just think that, again, the QB for FAM's only shown me that he can pull a rabbit out of a hat late, and he does it. So,
Always. Oh, if this game comes down to FAMU having a potential game-winning drive, I get nervous.
oh, ain't no doubt, because I think that
Because
kid makes that play.
he can do it. Coach, your prediction here, man.
I'm going FAM. I'm going FAM by 5.
Ooh, okay. I like it. That's not far from me. I got Jackson in this one, Coach. I thought I was going to be one of the only ones to pick Jackson. I was wrong. I got Jackson 28-20.
Mm.
I think they score late to pull away, but I think it's a close one. I really don't think this game is as high scoring as people want to
No,
believe.
no.
I think the defenses play better than people think.
This game will be probably one of the games that has double-digit penalties because the emotion is going to be so high because both sidelines know exactly what's kind of riding on this, and the fan base, the crowd's going to be absolutely crazy. So it's going to be the team that can keep their head and keep their emotions in check.
Okay, this is going to be controversial. We'll move on. Shout out to our guy Quentin. I actually disagree that Jackson needs this game more than FAM, and here's why. I know Jackson has the Grambling loss already, Coach, but
It
with
didn't count.
FAM, yeah, it didn't count. That's why I think I want consider that one. This is why, though, Coach. If you remember, that hurricane made FAM move Alabama A&M to the week of the Bayou Classic.
Right.
If FAM loses this game and Jackson wins the SWAC, FAM season's over. FAM has to
Ah,
win this game. If Jackson loses and they win out, Coach, in 8-3, Jackson's probably getting in the playoffs this year with how the bubble's shaping up. The bubble's going to
ah,
be atrocious. If Jackson loses and goes 9-3, they're in the playoffs, Coach, and there might be a top 16 seed potentially.
okay.
FAM needs this game significantly more than Jackson because if FAM loses this game, it's over. Because,
Hmm.
Coach, I'll look at Jackson's schedule. I don't see 2 more losses on that.
See at least one, don't you?
Yeah, I can see 1. That's what
Okay.
I was getting at, but 2, I don't see. Especially because, Coach, let's just be honest, and this is no offense. I know Alabama State fans hate me. Alabama State's not beating an elite team without a quarterback right now. They'll put 56 on Valley, but they're not beating elite SWAC teams with that quarterback situation going on.
I'm with you.
And then you look at Jackson's schedule. I know UAPB looks better, Coach. I don't think UAPB is catching them. I just don't. And I'm sorry. Shout out to our guy, Coach Anderson. Valley's not beating Jackson either, especially in Jackson. I want to think it's this year. This is not happening. So let's pump the brakes here. And then also
Uh,
Bethune-Cookman might be one of the worst teams in the country this year. They're atrocious.
everybody off the hype train.
Coach, I mean, like we're having a serious conversation. If Bethune-Cookman loses to Valley this weekend, they might go winless.
Yeah, that's a pretty big mic too. But they had a hype train going as well, man. And
Yeah.
somebody grabbed that freaking air brake, and oh my
God,
goodness.
I mean, we went from can Bethune-Cookman possibly finish third in the East to is Woody
I
going
was
to
on
have a
the
job
train.
next year? Yeah,
I was on the
like,
train. I was there. I know. I was on the train.
bro. I mean, they got smacked up last weekend by Alabama A&M. I mean, they got destroyed. And Alabama A&M is not a great team, and they got beat. They got beat like it was a money game, Coach.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, okay, this is where they get it right. No.
It's been a bad year for sleepers, right? Because the 2 most popular sleeper picks this offseason in the SWAC were Grambling and Bethune. Neither of them have won a SWAC game yet, right? I
But I bet they wish they had that Jackson game as a SWAC game.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because, Coach, I mean, I don't remember. I don't think we did a live show after that one. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. But I mean, it's it's kind of insane how much turnovers help you, right? Like I've tried to start that narrative, but they were forcing what was it like 4 or 5 turnovers a game there
Yep.
and
Something
being
crazy.
outplayed but winning. But you see kind of what happens when they lose the turnover battle, right?
Yep.
They just don't have it. And the crazy part is, coach, I think on paper they have the talent. I mean, you just got done playing them. You saw the film. They got guys who can make plays. It's just something's missing from that team.
It's 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 a it's a sticky situation, man, and I hate to see it, but I love to see it.
You love to
Uh,
see it last week. But now
yeah,
they can
yeah,
kind of get stuff going.
yeah. You're not going to find a team that looks better when you're looking across a team warming up. You're not going to find a team that looks better. Uh, it's just it is something that's missing, and I don't know, what it is. Can't put my finger on it. I'm not in that room, but it's something that's missing. And then we heard some rumblings here the last couple days. Might be some massive changes coming to what they have going on the field. So, you know, uh, it's different. It's different.
Man, all right, so let's get to our super dog picks real quick, man. I'll go first on this because this is a perfect transition because it involves Grambling, coach.
Well, that's,
I,
before you say it, I'm gonna beat you to it. I'm taking
that's yours too.
UAPB straight up.
Let's go. That was my super dog pick on the podcast too. I have UAPB as an 18-point underdog to
I'm
Grambling. I
taking it.
took that all day.
I'm taking
I'll
it.
take it. Yeah,
I'm
come
taking
on,
it.
man. Even if they don't win outright, I'm sorry, I don't see any way Grambling beats that team by 3 touchdowns.
I'm making 2 tickets. I'm taking one with the points, and then my other one I'm taking straight up. Uh, UAPB for the win,
Mm.
straight up. The other
Let,
ticket, I'm taking the points.
let me ask you because you played because y'all won by 10, right? Against
Yep,
UAPB.
yep.
How good is that wide receiver, man? Gibson?
He's he's a guy. He's a guy.
God, man. Dude, I was
He's a guy.
watching that PV game and I was texting I think it was Scotty and I was like, dude, this kid really might be the best wide receiver in the SWAC right now.
Oh, ain't no doubt. He's a guy. He's put together. Him and that guy, that trigger puller, they are in sync as
Hagen.
in sync goes can be. They threw a pass. He threw a pass versus PV to kind of close it out that he had no business throwing, but he knew who he was throwing to, and he makes that catch on the sideline on his hip, got 2 feet
God.
in, basically sealed the game. Those two, when you have those two, and again, tip of the hat to Coach T. Hall.
Yeah.
Um, you know, excellent job. And I think back to last season when the former coach at Grambling took the play calling from him.
Yep.
Prior to us playing them, that was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So, so,
We
so
appreciate you for that.
yeah, man, great move, great move. So
Oh,
coach is doing a great job with those guys, man, and it's kind of funny. Those kids are they're starting to believe they're just not very deep, and that's the
yeah,
only
no,
thing
they
that
don't.
worries me. They're just not very deep at all.
Especially defensively. Defensively, they just don't have the depth at
No,
like key positions, especially like the interior of the defensive line. It's just not there, and that's going to
no,
hurt them. I think. But I'll say this. I mean, and I see the comments. This I know what everyone thinks when they see a kid like this transfer portal. Probably, but I really hope he sticks around the SWAC somewhere, man. Like I mean, but this kid's a redshirt sophomore coach, 6'3", 205, and has 31 catches for 758 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns.
I mean, I hate to say it, and I'm all about it, but somebody's gonna come offer a mini bag
Yes.
and a chance to go win some games. And he's gonna wind up at a G5. He'll wind up at a G5.
Ma-
Hope
Maybe a
not,
power
but
maybe a power 5.
that too I've seen.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no doubt about it.
coach, he leads the FCS in receiving by 50 plus yards right now.
Yeah,
And coach, this is what's crazy. The guys behind him, so in the top 10, There's 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that have played more games than him.
And the crazy thing about that is watching him from the sideline, he's not the one that they're not throwing it to him enough, if
No.
that makes sense. They're
31
not throwing it.
catches.
They're not
Only
throwing it in his
31.
direction enough.
I mean, Coach, he's also leading the nation with 24.5 yards per reception.
Oh, he gets busy.
Like, come on, man. That kid's a freak, man. Shout out to Giovanni Gibson. I had to talk to you about it because I know now that you've played him, you can more talk about it. But that kid
Yeah,
is special, man.
he's a guy.
I like that we have the same super dog, man. Makes that segment really, really short there. But let's get the pick 'em, man, and we'll wrap this thing up. Coach, we got a string of games. You know how this goes against the spread picks. Let's kick this one off, man. Holy Cross at Harvard. Harvard's a 5-point favorite.
Got to go with Harvard.
That's what I went with last night, man. I like Harvard there too. Another ranked matchup, Coach. Rhode Island at New Hampshire. New Hampshire, a 6-point favorite here.
I want to go with New Hampshire, man, but I can't. I got to go with Rhode Island.
That's what I had to. I went with Rhode Island there. I think Malik Grant's running the football at such a high level, man. I don't think New Hampshire has the balance here to pull off that upset. I call it upset because Coach Rhode Island's a higher ranked team and they're almost a touchdown underdog. Villanova at Maine. Villanova an 11.5-point favorite.
Going with Villanova.
Yeah, I'm with you there, man. They're so good. Stony Brook at Townsend. Townsend an 11.5-point favorite as well.
Townsend needs this.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they had that big win over William and Mary, and they need that momentum. I'm actually going to go opposite, Coach. I don't think Stony Brook wins. I think Stony Brook covers, though. I think they can keep it within there, man. Roland Dempster is having a stupid season at running back for the Seawolves. I can't believe Timothy sent me this game to put on here. I called him out last night on it, but we have the Citadel versus VMI. The Citadel is 12-point favorites.
Gotta go with
Insanity.
Citadel. Gotta go.
Yeah,
with
I'm with you. But VMI is down there with like Bethune-Cookman right now in terms of talent on that team. It's bad. Your team, our guy Cole, Western Carolina, 6-point favorites over Furman on the road.
Take them.
Yeah, I'm with you. Western's rolling right now, man. This was Timothy's super dog pick. UNI at North Dakota. North Dakota is a 22-point favorite.
UNI to cover.
Okay, I'm actually with you guys because I think 22 points is a whole lot of points to give up in a conference matchup. Coach, Mercer at Sanford. Mercer is a 13-point favorite over Sanford.
Sanford's got their backs against the wall, don't they?
Yeah, they've been struggling. They almost upset ETSU last week. They fell just a bit short on that one, but yeah, they probably need this one, man. But Mercer has just been, God, man, Mercer's so good this year.
Yeah, rolling. Yeah, I want to go that, but I'm going a safe pick, going Mercer.
Yeah, I think Sanford covers, Coach. I said this last night. I think Mercer wins by like 10 or so, but I don't see how Sanford. I mean, Coach, have you seen their defensive statistics this year for Mercer?
Oh, they're going crazy.
Dude, 7 points per game allowed, 38 rushing yards per allowed, 219 yards per game allowed, 46 tackles for loss, 20 sacks, 13 picks with only 1 passing touchdown allowed, and only 5 offensive touchdowns allowed all year. Coach, if you took every single one of Mercer's offensive touchdowns this year, they would still be 4-1-1.
Again, you talk about cutting the water off, man. They're playing some defensive football.
Dude, that is absolutely next level defense. Right? And Coach, they've played 2 ranked teams. They got 2 ranked road wins over Chat and Wofford. So massive win. Coach, this is an interesting game. And this is another game I wish would have been on a different weekend, man, so I could experience Howard's homecoming. Tennessee State at Howard. For Howard's homecoming, Tennessee State is a 9-point favorite.
About that time where Tennessee State falls apart, ain't it?
Yeah, it is. But hey, they looked dominant last week against Eastern Illinois, man. Just bodied them.
I got to go Howard, homecoming. Got to go there.
I got Tennessee State covering, man. I think Tennessee State's that good. And also, too, I know this is typically about the time for collapse, but this is an out-of-conference game. Not there yet. And also, too, I think it's a bad matchup for Howard's offensive line, man. Jalen Bell and Eric George and Keandre
Get
Booker
down.
have been balling. Great matchup. Delaware at Richmond. Delaware 12-point favorites.
Yeah, I'm with that.
I got Richmond covering, but Delaware's rolling this year, man. If they could be ranked, they'd probably be a top 10 team right now, man. They are playing outrageous
That
football.
transition.
Coach, I know. I think I know where you're going. McNeese and Incarnate Word. Incarnate Word's 18.5-point favorites here.
I know there were some injuries to
Yeah.
McNeese. So I got to go Cardinal Word, man. They tend to put up points and they tend to keep the pedal to the metal when they have you down. So I got to go with
Yeah.
them to cover that and for the win.
Yeah, Clifton got banged up. I think he hurt his finger, and then coach, they were starting like walk-ons at linebacker because they were out like their top 4 linebackers, I think. Just brutal
Yeah,
injury bug there. Eastern Kentucky at Abilene Christian. Abilene Christian 11-point favorites.
yeah, they cover that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's a bad matchup for EKU. And then finally, UC Davis 3.5-point favorites against Eastern Washington. That's insane. UC Davis is the number 6 team in the country.
They know something we don't know, I guess.
Apparently, God.
But I got to go with what I know, and I got to take them to walk away with that one a little easier.
Coach, I wish I had some bulletin board material here. I texted you earlier this week. The line for Southern Alcorn is still 0.5 Southern's way. So that's a pick 'em game. So no bulletin board material. Maybe you could just say, hey guys, they think they're half a point better than us. That's the same this weekend. Half a point better for Alcorn.
They've released some stuff that we got, so we feel pretty
Oh,
good about
okay.
it. Yeah, they've released a couple videos and an extensive letter depicting on what happened last year and how they're not letting that happen this year, and so we got a little bit to get under us, so we're good in that department.
Man, I'm jealous, man. Like, listen, that's some of the better tailgate food that I've ever had down there, man. I'm kind of upset I don't get to come to Baton Rouge this weekend, man. So I need someone in Jackson to hook me up, man. Maybe I'll get some good seafood in Jackson, but man, seafood's my weakness in Baton Rouge. There's no better place than Louisiana. I know
I can
we
smell it.
argued about that.
I can't
Yeah.
smell, but I'm hoping by the time I get there that I'm clear and I'm good to go.
Coach, I'm gonna see you on the sideline because I usually can spot you watching the game. You're gonna have like a mask on, have you like in a hazmat suit, all sick, calling the plays.
Nah, man, I'm about to make this toddy, uh, that Twin
Okay.
Peak,
Shout out to Twin
and
Peak.
throw that peppermint in there, and
Oh,
put
okay.
that hoodie on, and
Yep.
curl up, and wake up a
I,
new guy tomorrow.
I feel you on that, man. I had a head cold like last week, man. I'm with you. A good nap, like take a little bit of medicine. I felt good, like in like 2 days, man. And Paris said, "Oh, they did the video thing again. Doesn't bode well for Southern with videos. They did that against Jackson. So,
Oh,
but
they
guys,
did
man,
do that. That's right.
yeah,
They
you
did
remember?
do that. Yeah, they did do that. Yeah, they did it again, Paris. Paris,
Yeah,
I was about to say something to Paris, but yeah, she's good. She's good now.
yeah. Hey,
She's
shout out to
talking
Paris, man.
she's talking
I'm,
about the
I'm
internet. I saw that, but I let it
yeah.
ride.
Yeah, just let it ride, let it ride. But yeah, shout out to Paris, man. I'm sure she'll be at the game this weekend down at over in Jackson. But man, guys, hit the like button, subscribe. Me and Coach will be back way more often, man. We got to get Coach
Yes,
healthy
yes,
here, and
yes,
we
yes,
also,
yes, yes.
hey, we got to get to 4-0 in division, man, or in the
Bye
SWAC
week
play.
next week,
That's
baby. Bye week
yeah,
next week. So we back. We might do a
yes.
week of shows next week.
Yeah,
Just a
we might
whole
have to
week.
catch up. 5 shows in a week. But guys, man, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe. Check out the audio version. Me and Timothy have been chopping it up about FCS every week, 2 episodes a week over there. Man, and comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, man. But for Coach Fred, myself, the Bluebloods, FCS Football Central on SI, we are out for right now.